This is part 2 and a continuation of our quest to find the severe, and I'm going to repeat, a severe oil leak in this 300E. The owner, who I know quite well, and who I won't divulge in either part 1 or part 2, reported to me that he lost 3 quarts of oil in 7 miles. He took it into a shop, and I won't mention the name of this shop particularly unless the shop is not willing to pay for the owner's pain and suffering. And we're going to be talking to the shop about this. But I said, you know, there's no way. They were telling him he needed a new pan gasket, a new rear main seal, a new valve cover gasket, which cost him $1,800. And he's telling me he's losing 3 quarts of oil in 7 miles. Do you really think that's coming out of a gasket? I said, hold everything. I'm coming to Tacoma. I'm going to check this out for you. And that's where we are today on this nice sunny morning in August. It's hot, but we're going to find the problem. And guess what? We pulled the underbelly pan, I started the engine, and within 3 seconds, I found the problem. Let me show you what I found. I'm going to go ahead and have him start the car so you can see exactly what I saw. Can you see that? Can you see that leak? Now you tell me, is that just a gasket? I don't know if you're going to be able to see what I saw, but I said, hey, the only thing that can pump that much oil has to be coming out of the oil filter. And guess what? We got up top here, took a look at the oil filter, and watch this. Can you see that? Oil is squirting out of the oil filter. So what do you think? Is this worth about $1,800? Yep, I found the problem, it's the oil filter. Now I think the oil filter is actually cracked, and that'll be a good lesson why you don't use cheap aftermarket oil filters. And later in this video, I'm going to explain why you don't even want to have these places do your own oil changes. I think this has got to be a classic example. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the old oil filter off the engine. We'll take a close look at it, and if it is cracked, I'll show you, or maybe it has a roll lip, but I'm pretty sure the actual filter is cracked. So that's a no-no. That's a real no-no, and you can imagine that the owner is not very happy. I brought along the correct German oil filter and my special wrench that gets these oil filters on and off properly without damaging them. But guess what? That aftermarket oil filter on the engine right now is too small, and this spins on top, and I'm going, uh-oh, I don't have a strap wrench. How am I going to get that oil filter off? Watch, I'll show you a little trick. Since this oil filter wrench is too big, here's the trick you can use. Now you're going to destroy the oil filter, but who cares? You're not going to reuse it. And you can see here what I've done is I've gotten a big screwdriver and a hammer, and I've just driven it into the side of the oil filter, and now I can start to turn it counterclockwise. See that? Man, this is on there tight. It's almost like it's on there way too tight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the screwdriver out, I'll drive in another hole, and then we'll continue to spin it right off. Here you can see the hole is caused by the screwdriver to get the filter off, but here I want to show you that small crack. It's very small, you can hardly see it, but look at how much oil was coming out in those previous scenes. And of course this once again was caused by using too much torque and probably the wrong size cap wrench to get this oil filter tightened. The other reason I don't like these aftermarket cheap oil filters is the metal is very thin. If you were to compare that to my Henck's German-made filter, this is a much heavier metal and a much larger wrench is used, so the tendency to damage the filter itself is nowhere near what it is with these cheaper aftermarket filters that you see here. I put some more newspaper and cardboard in the car. I brought along my trusty detailing engine equipment here. We sprayed it down with some cleaner and then just lightly sprayed it off with this tank here. I've got the new filter in place, properly torqued by the way, and we're ready to start this engine up and make sure that leak is no longer there. Okay, I've had the engine running here now for about 5 minutes, and we've got a piece of cardboard under the engine, and there is no more oil leak. Can you imagine how happy the owner is? But can you also imagine how, should I say, angry he is for what he's been through? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But this oil leak is fixed. And we're talking, well, of course we got my time here, but we're talking, an $8 part. instead of $1,800. So what's the moral of the story? I don't even know if I need to say what the moral of the story is, but number one, do your own oil changes, people. You can't imagine how many times I've seen these kind of problems with these oil change outfits. And don't use these cheap aftermarket products, even if you can't do your own oil change. Buy quality German filters like from Mercedessource, and then ask whoever is doing your oil changes to use your parts. If they won't do that, then you go somewhere else. And as a final note, okay, I want you to ponder. I want you to ponder what the owner is going through right now and what he is thinking. You know, when I arrived at Tacoma last night, I told Don, I said, you know, I think we're going to find some skullduggery. He laughed and said, what do you mean skullduggery? But let me ask you this question. Do you think this is skullduggery or pure stupidity? Cut. I got it. Come here and look at this. I'm sorry I'm so excited. This is, you're probably thinking, well, this guy crazy?